Good morning. Good morning. It is a beautiful Tuesday morning, and today is my birthday. Well, I don't mean it in the literal sense, but I was born on a Tuesday. As you all know, my name is Nana Abenasewa. I haven't seen you in a while. That's because I wasn't feeling so well, and that brings me to my question to you this morning. What is the thing that you're grateful for? I know I am grateful for the gift of life. I am grateful for good health. A number of times we take these things for granted. But after being sick for a while, when I couldn't breathe because my nose was clogged, all I wanted was to be able to breathe freely. And so if I sit here this morning, I say to you that I am grateful for the gift of life. I am grateful for good health. Again, I would ask you, what are you grateful for? I want you to answer that question to yourself. Now, you know, when I'm sitting here, or when I sit here, there's no way that I won't tell you about some of my reasons for looking as good as I look. If you are someone who is also constantly worried about how aged you're looking or how fat you have become, then I do have a solution for you. So in terms of the aging, what I need you to do is get the Black Secret makeup product, especially the facial wipe, which is injected with anti-aging formulas that help you sustain your natural beauty and also maintain your youthfulness at the same time. It's made in Ghana, and so let's patronize our own products and increase the productivity as well. Now, another product that I'll tell you about always, my #1 sponsor, which is X Natural Mineral Water, Simply Natural. If you're interested in distributing, then kindly call 0540-585-599 or 0243-249-245. You can also come to the premises here in Osu, and we can have the conversation together. Yesterday and this morning, I found some stories that are interrelated. So apparently the Child Rights International did a survey. They spoke to 5% of children in Ghana, and according to them, actually, the age range of the kids they spoke to is 12 and 17, and they were sampled from 11,288 children across the country. And this is what they had to say. They said that once they are matured enough, they will practically leave the country and go live abroad because of the state of the nation. They are scared that once they come out of school, there will be nothing for them to do. This is why I say the stories are interrelated. I was surfing through social media where I saw the head of psychology at the University of Ghana, Professor Joseph Osafo, casting his fear over the kind of generation that is cropping up in Ghana. Now, according to him, the youth of today need the right orientation to fit well into the society, or else they will become social misfits. Now, you'd ask yourself why he's saying this. He complained about the mentality of the youth towards life and the country, stressing the survey indicates about 66% of them believe they won't get employment in the years ahead. Hence, this might push them to resort to all kinds of bad behavior. This he said when he was speaking to the host, Nana Yalkese, on Peace FM. So, again, these two stories are interrelated. I do not want to stress much about it. I want you to make your own opinion with regards to what I have just put across. But for the sake of maybe putting you towards the right direction, I think that if we follow on this tangent, then indeed we are in trouble. My name once again is Nana Abenasewa. This show is the morning update on TV Xyz. As always, I will be doing this with my able co-host Eric.
Yes.
I like your captain.
Yes. This week, me mini pa.
Sir.
This week, friends tell me if I put on tie, it exposes my stomach. So I should be in these ones. That's why.
But I like your stomach.
Resorting to it.
That's what has made our marriage grow.
It's an investment.
Yeah.
And so I'm proud of it. But the fact is, it is not the best. I have to manage myself.
Right.
Do more exercises. Drink a lot of your water.
Yes, X Natural Mineral
Obviously,
Water.
Abonancio. X Natural Mineral Water. Today is J.J. Rawlins's birthday.
Oh.
I received a statement from Cobenando, and I think it's been circulated to several other media houses and editors. And I will show pictures of Jerry John Rawlins, who would have been 74 years today if he was alive. And this is a man who liked the environment. I remember as a young boy at the secondary school then, when we heard of him, everybody was saying JJ, JJ. And sometimes you see him ensuring that the environment is clean. He will enter gutters, the silt gutters. People will insult him for degrading the presidency because he's in the drains, setting good examples, and they call it leadership by examples. And I remember some time ago, we also knew that he was very passionate about removing water hyacinth from the water lake. And when he retired as a former president, you remember there were times when trees around the Ridge Hospital area were cut, and he was very, very, very furious.
Yeah.
And so on this day, at Chumota School, I'm told, and the Rollins Foundation, together with the Forestry Commission, will be embarking on a tree planting exercise. In fact, they issued a statement, and I think I will show the statement on the screen shortly. And that statement basically talks about the fact that the tree planting exercise will occur at President Rollins' alma mater to raise awareness of our collective responsibility in protecting and preserving the environment, ideals that were very dear to the heart of the late former President J.J. Rollins. And it goes ahead to say, the J.J. Rollins Foundation is very grateful to the Forestry Commission for its kind support of this project, which is in furtherance of the Greening Ghana campaign, which took off on the 11th of June 2021. The JJR Foundation is also grateful, as I read, and it goes ahead to talk about the proud, charismatic son of Ghana and includes the profound statement made some time ago in 2020. And it says, I have always derived so much comfort and serenity from Mother Nature. The loyalty, trust, and integrity of Mother Nature has never been in doubt. Look, Rollins will be angry if I don't quote this one properly. I want to read again. He says, I've always derived so much comfort and serenity from Mother Nature. The loyalty, trust, and integrity of Mother Nature has never been in doubt. If I could live my life again and again, I would still spend it trying to protect her. J.J. Rollins, the late. And today he would have been 74 years. And that's how life is.
Yeah.
This is a man who was full of action. And many never thought that all the privileges around him will wake up one day and hear that he has fallen.
Yeah.
And so that is it.
I think there's something I know about him because I watched a documentary of him some time back. I actually did admire him a lot because of his charisma.
Not because of his color.
No.
Say a
oh, ain't it okay. Well, so what I found out or discovered about him is that he loves to paint. And he's very good at it.
And at the latter stages of his life, he almost became the photographer people never knew.
Yeah.
So he went to functions with his own camera. And if you travel to my part of this country where I live or come from, if you are moving towards Sogakofa, you see his village by the riverside.
Right.
And everybody, it's almost like a tourist destination. Anybody in a car will say, Matt the Rollins, nephew or Kwani or Wainfa. And then they will just look at it. And this is a man who has made a lot of impact.
Yeah, he has.
We will always remember him, like several other of our leaders. But some may also leave a bad mark
legacy,
that people will
that's
not
the thing.
Want to talk about. But that's life. I am deriving something positive from what he stood for. Being frank
he was
and
very
blunt.
hands-on and hands-on.
Yes, and blunt. And he was somebody who led by example. And therefore, he never became tired doing the little things he would have assumed that ordinary people should do. And therefore, let me sit aside. And those who chastise him in the late 80s, early 90s, that he was degrading the presidency because he descended into the gutters and wanted to keep Accra clean. And somebody who wouldn't mind doing all the things with his bare hands.
Exactly.
Today, we are in Ghana and we are talking about making Accra clean. And if all of us had given him the support at that time, so he had the vision. There were other people whose brains perhaps were clogged, and therefore they didn't see the beauty in it. They were carried by their own parochial interest. Let's destroy the image. Let's do anything to undermine him. And it didn't carry along with the total support we needed. I remember the former local government minister, Julius Debra, for example, initiated what we call the periodic national cleanup campaign. At that time, he got a lot of motivation because a lot of corporate organizations were ready to give him the support. I remember at that time, dustbins started going around and they were looking at how we even separate waste. So green for maybe what will easily decompose, another bin for bottles, another one for etc. And that was a bold initiative. At that time, people shot at it. It has come to haunt us today, and we are talking about cleaning the country.
Interesting. We always wait for it to get worse, and then now we try to find a solution. When we could have done it from the beginning.
Na adwempa ana nipa no ode ya wo ye Ghana ni a di nipa nechi fa sa adwempa no fa di nipa nechi but wo fa ne se me nka mo ho anti say ade papa krampo a me ye dia metumi aye na me fa nse no na du me so a na makoye the same thing na me bisa me ho say ade anyansa ana wo. That doesn't show the patriotism that I want to see in you.
Hey, Eric, why is it?
You're not patriotic.
Me feel, Eric.
I'm for me how now is real. That a low cry. I'm on Mohe TV.
We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll delve into our newspapers.
We are one man short. Should we invite him?
Yeah.
It be old cargo.
Can I join you guys?
Yeah. Always drink fresh, natural, X, mineral, water.
You still got it.
Always keep hydrated naturally. That's my secret.
Manufactured with the primary aim of preserving nature's finest minerals necessary for a healthy mind and body. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
So the Ministry of Roads and Highways has issued a statement yesterday indicating that there will be traffic in certain areas of the N1. So this will happen between the hours of 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now, according to the statement, this is going to be work that is going to be done by Gridco to undertake a final stringing works involving the removal of a section of the existing power lines which transverses the N1 highway. So please take note so that from tomorrow to Thursday, you know how to manage your time. When 11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
You know, there's sometimes lots of the highway actually becomes blocked, and maybe in the morning people can rush to work, but in the evening, those who be moving from the Kasua area towards the Akwaje interchange in the evenings, that's where the traffic buildup is. And if it is around the Fiesta Hotel enclave, then you can imagine what is likely to happen on Wednesday and Thursday. And therefore, if you live in Accra,
Eric,
you have to plan your route.
We need to put this out there. This is not to say that if you work in a corporate environment where you're supposed to close at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., you should leave the office at 3. That is not you being productive.
There's a controversy that has been stoked by John Peter Mewu.
Right.
He said somewhere, I don't know whether it's a slip or he meant it, but what he has said, which has angered Clocksack, is that civil servants now, me, I support that. You know what? A lot of people have acknowledged that much of the corruption in this country could have been blocked if our civil servants in particular those who become the chief directors and so on, who are head of finance and so on, were very patriotic, committed, and stood the test of time because they are protected by the law. Want to me as a buying and then start moving around civil servants like that. But much of the corruption, they are neck deep involved. And he said, banner or qua or the member call, and therefore you be held, and so that protective coat is removed. There'll be some level of discipline to protect our public purse. Because but just yesterday, Parliament has issued summons for this Assembly Common Fund, whatever coordinator, the NHIS boss, to come and appear before them. It is about their investigation into the Public Accounts Committee, the Auditor General's report and so on. So a normal way there, I say sometimes we KB, but I know Clockside would like to chew me because they have issued a statement.
I'm sure you're ready for them.
We'll discuss that on morning. That's the newspaper review segment.
Like I said, you are ready for them. I have Ghanaian Times, the Chronicle, and of course the Daily Dispatch is also.
I have the Daily Graphic, the Business and Financial Times, and then Lens Multimedia has also sent me a couple of the headlines, so I'll read them when it's time. Okay, so let me start. Daily Graphic on its front page says tax stamps grow from 28 million in 2018 to 90 million in 2021, and it suggests more revenue coming to Ghana. On the politics page,
actually, no.
Okay.
So basically, they've been giving the stamps out for free. So the 90 million is the cost that the state is incurring. So they are now talking to find out if they should let the stakeholders take part of the cost, or they let them take 100% of the cost. Because I mean, in outside world, you pay for your own stickers, but here they give it out to them for free, and so that is what is costing.
But I was thinking that even if it is given out to them for free, the indication would have been that Ghana Revenue Authority has statistics of how many of such tax stamps have gone out. And I know at the preparatory stage, they said they were going to take part of the implementation cost.
Yes, but they said they didn't receive anything, nothing at all.
So when we're all saying, so how innovative is this tax stamp?
Well,
we'll look at it. Today, Joe Jackson will be with us. He's somebody who appreciates these finance issues. And so we'll discuss it today. Business and Financial Times, front page, cedi against dollar slows. And there's a graph here. I'll stop here, Abna.
Okay, so I'll start with the Ghanaian Times. Now, the front page is talking about an approval that has been made by the World Bank. So, World Bank has approved $435 million for COVID-19 combat. The housing and population census is also still ongoing. 8 million houses have been counted so far. Armed robbers kill mobile money vendor at Okrasi. Now, this is what I talked about earlier. Children list 5 top concerns. This is a survey that was done by the Child Rights International. On the back page, however, it talks about the United Nations High Commission for Refugees officially opening an Accra office for refugees in the country.
I know today you are talking to fishermen about the close season.
Yes.
To appreciate how informed they are, how they are going to support government to enforce the ban between next month and August. But this story, maybe tomorrow, if you can, why won't you invite Bright Appear for a conversation on this survey they did?
Yes.
It will sound exciting.
Yes.
Now, let me go to Lens Multimedia and some of the headlines they have shared with me on Facebook. The Meridian on its front page says 2021 Global Peace Index. Ghana ranked second most peaceful country in Africa. The Tender on its front page, Heward Mills, is that the word? Heward Mills.
Yeah,
churches
Mills.
faced shut down, and it's about the controversy of something he said 20 years ago. The Insight, Kwesi Pratt's paper, Chachu Chikata, he says 2020 election petition ruling full of errors. Daily Guide on its front page, be vigilant, Nana to border residents. You know, he's in the north. He was in Upper East. Today he's going to Northeast. And we understand Dr. Baumia will join him today.
Right.
Crusading Guide on its front page, Ghana is second most peaceful country. And of course, we've done the Daily Graphic. The Analyst on its front page, government issues new domestic debt calendar for the period June to August 2021. Abena, may say
Yes, before we take the news, Berima will say on our Facebook live now, and he says that, good morning, Chief. Today is the birthday of my mom, Nana Ata Brago Otumfo. From myself, Nana will say to convener Crossfire Ghana, my sister Ifia AJ, we want to wish our mother a happy birthday. Now, the very last one says that the level of insensitivity, ignorance and recklessness, insecurity, armed robbery, thieves, confused and inept executive led by an... Okay, it's too early. Like I know,
I didn't change.
But please keep your comments coming and join the conversation live on Facebook and YouTube as well. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, Wisdom Heather Jome is on standby for the news.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to so many Accra.
Sure.
Emission, check.
Alignment, check.
Brakes, check.
Visit AutoChecks at Koforodia Aquadum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much. AutoChecks, check.
AutoChecks, your safety, our priority.
NDC fights Chief Justice. 7 notice any attempt to gag its lawyers and critics seeking judicial independence will fiercely be resisted. Ghanaians ready for census night this Sunday amidst concerns over possible data leakages. We'll tell you why MP for Korle Klottey is cautioning the Ghana Statistical Service. Also in this bulletin, Dr. Bawumia joins President Akufo-Addo in the Northeast region for a 2-day tour beginning this morning. And a little later, a Greek minister, Dr. Free Akuto, becomes first chair of Ghana Cote d'Ivoire Cocoa Steering Committee Initiative. And all of that and more coming up in this bulletin. Please stay with us. Many thanks for your company. My name is Wisdom Heather Jome. Let's begin the bulletin from an announcement because the Roads and Highways Ministry says traffic flow on the sections of the N1 highway will be interrupted tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now, a statement issued yesterday says this is to enable the Ghana Grid Company, Gridco, to undertake a final stringing works involving the removal of a section of the existing power line which traverses the N1 highway at the Fiesta Royal Junction here in Accra. Now let's turn attention to the NDC because it has put the Chief Justice Kwesi Enini-Abua on the spot for what it described as an agenda targeting its lawyers. Now it has served notice no amount of intimidation will stop the party or its assigns from openly condemning judicial discrimination. Now here are excerpt of concerns raised by General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asedu Nketia. A further report. Conference by the NDC is in response to what the party described as deliberate attempt by the Chief Justice to gag its lawyers. General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asedu Nketia, described Justice Kwesi Enini-Abua's decision to haul former Deputy Attorney General Dr. Dominic Ayeni as shameful and a threat to Ghana's democracy. Mr. Nketia, who cited a related action against Roxing Dafia-Mekpo, another NDC MP and lawyer, said the party has observed an agenda to target its lawyers and that will be fiercely resisted. He explained that NP for Bolga East, Dr. Dominic Ayeni, spoke at a panel discussion on presidential election petition and their impact on Africa's democracy under the auspices of the Center for Democratic Development, and that the CJ's action is a threat to academic freedom.
As you may be aware, only a few months ago, some lawyers with NDC leanings, specifically lawyer Abraham Amaliba and lawyer David Annan, were hauled to this same disciplinary committee of the General Legal Council by the same Chief Justice in similar fashion and harassed for expressing their views on the constitution of the Supreme Court panel that heard the 2020 election petition. Also, not long ago, the Honorable Roxanne Nelson K. Eche Dafiamapo, the NDC Member of Parliament for Southdine, received a similar invitation to appear before the disciplinary committee of the General Legal Council.
The NDC chief scribe, who cited proceedings during the 2021 election petition, said it is no surprise that a recent research shows over 85% of Ghanaians lack confidence in the judiciary because it is not independent.
The way in which the Supreme Court, in the hearing of the 2020 election petition, continuously shielded the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mrs. Jean Adukwe-Mensah, from scrutiny and accountability, has been the subject of critical comment by many people. Indeed, much of the criticism has been from people who are in no way associated with the National Democratic Congress. We must say,
now, the NDC chief scribe stopped short of directly accusing the Chief Justice of doing MPP's bidding when a direct question was posed to him. Mr. Nketia, known for his proverbial responses to controversial questions, said who the cap fit knows the import of his responses.
General Secretary Johnson Asiedu Nketia, who was responding to a question critiquing NDC's posturing, which seemed to undermine the judiciary, said the Supreme Court's own pronouncement before its ruling on the election petition case speaks volumes. And this was what he was referring to.
Let's be constructive, let's be proactive. And His Lordship has said, I should tell you that as trustees of the People's Power of Justice, we are willing and happy to be criticized. Criticize us as violently as you can, but for Christ's sake, don't insult us. Don't berate us. Don't speak hatred. Don't malign us.
The joint news conference by the GJA and the Judicial Service on March 3rd, 2021 followed the public outcry when the Chief Justice instructed a legal practitioner, Thaddeus Sorry, to issue a threatening letter to media houses, ostensibly to restrict public criticism of the court ruling. Mr. Asiedu Nketia said that singular action has further fueled suspicions.
The danger that is posed to a country by a judiciary that is perceived not to be independent is greater than the criticism that any citizen will raise against the performance of such judiciary. And there is documented research in this country that suggests that over 80% of Ghanaians don't consider the judiciary to be independent. If Article 125 of our Constitution says that justice emanates from the people, and 85% of the people from whom justice emanates and for whom the judiciary is to deliver that justice, they believe that that judiciary is not delivering the justice. Do you think that you will be playing your role as a good citizen to keep quiet over that?
Now let's turn attention to the presidency and President Akufo-Addo's tour of northern Ghana. Now the president, who spent 2 days in the Upper East region, is expected to cross over to the Northeast region, where he will be joined by Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Yesterday, he addressed a number of chiefs and people of the Mamprusi area after a visit to the Zangbin's palace, where he assured them of ongoing efforts to improve the lives of people, including construction of a community day SHS and a district hospital. Now today, his first point of call is the Northeast region, where he shall visit the Nairi Palace, address a mini deba before crossing over to Wale, Dr. Baumia's hometown. Now, all is set for the census night this Sunday. Ghanaians are highly expectant, and as you will notice in the following report, majority can't wait to be counted.
This Sunday, June 27, is the census night. Ghana Statistical Service says the listing of structures by field data collection officers is over 85% complete. Public interest is high as the service scales up sensitization. It also intends to organize a series of activities in the various communities throughout the country to mark the night to ensure full participation. Among other key information field officers to be deployed would seek, Ghana Statistical Service has alerted the public to make the following information available before the census night. 1. Address of the structure in which they live and its Ghana Post address. What the structure is used for. Whether the structure has a toilet facility or not. The type of toilet facility. Number of toilet rooms available in the structure. 2. Name of owner. 3. House number. 4. Street name. 5. Popular name of house. Xyz News has been gauging public opinion and most Ghanaians are anxious.
It's not like I'm eager to meet the exercise. I'm just there if it comes. Or if they come around, I'm ready to give them my information.
So they're going to ask you a number of questions. I'm sure you are ready to provide.
I'm ready to give everything, if only I have.
I believe they are professionals and they are being trained as to how to, interact with people because they also need to protect themselves. So the fact that they are working, they are coming to my home. I know they know the protocols. So if they know the protocols and I know the protocols, it's not a big deal.
While majority are confident the exercise will be successful, some are a bit concerned about possible data leakage.
And on the computer, so the uncle for Nema, Utia. It is San Martin, but so far as I almost say, and them did so on be put things to the year. The name about 2 years, and my Sanko for Nina. To me, Bibia Bessibiano, Unionano,
Secofa young way, Juman away, he says, and to say, oh, may how. And I in Sembi can near baby sound. Some foul details will be like I said, Womunia may be out to fan come.
Now, one of the measures that will be used by the Statistical Service in data collection is raising fears over possible data leakages. Now, MP for Koliklote, Dr. Zaneto Ajima-Rawlings fears enumerators using iPads and other electronic gadgets can compromise the security of people's data. Let's hear here as she spoke to the media.
Yes, yes, census. One more go around. No, yes, one the tablet no go around. Let's just say digital. What are the infrastructure that we have in place to ensure say obi budget information, me data no at the better digital platforms? How are they protecting my information? Because titino oba na otro people so unim say or the beko akoto a safe mu. And now one more try baby the beshen inti say obi anko here. Nobody gets access to it. With this digital platform, information, baby, you can't even say specifically say enuni.
Now we turn attention to issues related to government, and pressure continues to mount on government to address outstanding issues affecting staff of public universities. Now the latest is a nationwide strike declared by the senior administrators of technical universities. A nationwide strike took effect yesterday. It was announced barely 24 hours after their colleague tutors called off their strike. TUSAC's strike is in protest over outstanding issues involving their Tier 2 pensions and conditions of service. Leadership of the University Senior Staff Association claims several petitions to the National Pensions Regulatory Authority have been ignored, and it can only reverse its decision if government spells out a clear roadmap to address their concerns. It will be recalled that TUSAC in January last year suspended their services under similar protest, but were compelled to call it off after an injunction secured by the National Labour Commission against their strike. Xyz News has been monitoring if members at technical universities nationwide are complying, the likely effect on academic work if it drags, and will keep you updated. Well, let's turn attention to other news. And Ghana has been elected to chair the Ghana Cote d'Ivoire Cocoa Initiative. Now, our great minister, Dr. Owusu Afriyie-Akoto, who was the first to chair the steering committee, was elected yesterday.
A Greek minister, Dr. Owusu Afriyie-Akoto, was elected at the first hearing committee held in Abidjan yesterday. The unanimous decision spans 15 months. That's from the remainder of the current cocoa season, which ends this September, till the end of next cocoa season in 2022. The Ghana Cote d'Ivoire initiative, launched in August last year, is intended to improve coordination in research, price fixing, and a fight against exploitative forms of child labor on cocoa farms. The steering committee, among other things, is responsible for formulating rules and regulations, ensuring the smooth implementation of the charter and functioning of the secretariat, approve all budgets and work programs of the initiative, approve the rights and responsibilities of member countries, and resolve conflicts. Present at the meeting were representation from Ghana's parliament, including chairman of the Food and Agriculture Cocoa Affairs Committee, John Osei Frimpong, ranking member Eric Opoku, and a delegation of senior Ivorian government officials.
Now let's talk about security, because the 3 young men seen in a viral video displaying bundles of money and shotguns have been officially charged by the police for causing fear and panic. Now, Xyz News has learned 2 of the 3, and a pastor who is the brother of the is one of the suspects were picked up at Obuasi last Thursday. Ashanti Regional Police Command is currently interrogating them for possible leads. Now, they are expected back in court today, June 22. Now, the pastor, Reverend Alfred Kodora, whose pump-action gun was brandished in the video, has been granted a police inquiry bail. His pump-action gun has, however, been confiscated. And that pretty that's it for this morning's edition of News in Brief or Morning Update. As always, do log on to my xyzonline.com for more. Let me say happy birthday to my very own mother, Janet Abenasewa, and Ewa Awodapa. Nyamyo Nshao, Ashem Yusuye, Medasio.
Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For Akwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Needs Microfinance. Growing with you.
Ifo kra na menyisika etia ye mefui.
Ehinfa pa na menya bosia edia tre medwuma yimu.
Kai kra mabre menya bosia ato taxi fufu. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yemamwa kwa baba so home rural bank. Ye won hye ahodo bi te say dwadifo abosia, ekokro bosia, susu account. And it does our horse savings account. Me bada chain savings account. And then the keka home. Press home rural bank was 034229186. Now one so what to me aka say.
Suhum Rural Bank. Ama ene mayeka owner.
Suhum Rural Bank. Enti me pa minie.
Suhum Rural Bank, growing our heritage.
We are one man short. Should we invite him?
Yeah.
It be old cargo.
Can I join you guys?
Yeah. Always free, fresh, natural, X, mineral, water.
You still got it. Always keep hydrated naturally. That's my secret.
Manufactured with the primary aim of preserving nature's finest minerals necessary for a healthy mind and body. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
In 2019, the government threatened to impose a ban on fishing due to the dwindling of stocks in the fishing industry. But the fishermen fought against it. They made threats that they wouldn't vote for the MPP or Akufo-Addo-led government at the time. And so there has been controversies surrounding the reasons why the ban was not imposed in 2019. Was it because of the elections? Was it not? But that is not the import of the conversation this morning. This morning, we want to talk with some of the fishermen in the studio, and we want to find out the import of this. How well informed are they with regards to the ban that is going to be imposed? Now, there are some school of thoughts that believe that this should actually happen because they also have contributed to what they are about to experience, because some of them fish with dynamite, others with cardboard and whatnot. We recently discussed child labor, where we spoke about the fishing communities being entrenched with these things, where we see the children in the sea going in there, taking the net out, and children losing their lives and whatnot. This is the second time that Ghana has received a yellow card from the EU with regards to all these measures that we are not adhering to when it comes to fishing. So this, of course, is a major problem. So to some extent, it is understandable that the government wants to impose a ban. But experts also believe that the time frame is best because August is the time where the fishes spawn. And so if the ban is started between this month and August, then it means that they will have a bountiful harvest. However, the fishermen disagree with that. Reason for the conversation this morning. Good morning, gentlemen. Me Pasho, on my extreme right, Ni Amate Charles. He is the Canoe Owners and Fishermen Association chairman. And my immediate right, Mr. Atta Soa.
Yes, madam.
He owns a canoe and he is a fisherman. Mr. Mo, me pese mi bisa se ban ya ebe edian poten amati afa ho mu ne abayat na se edi atwetwe enkomo ya na.
Ma me pa cho debi.
Inti ye nhia mo.
Debi.
Inti eden amote asem.
Kwa e fa so ye ti ase me amiti o ase chairman die. Me ti free National Chief Fisherman's Office. Awo Jamestown Hall.
Okay.
Say, yeah, say Abansi this year or the band be to Mponuso.
Okay.
nti me a meti wo me bi so mo se enti ya
Bishop mawanu so kakrama
ya ye be ya de no amaye no a ban betu ye so no dabe na ye be hia ye na ye nti bibi ase ana ye nso se ye wo how bi a na ye fantu aban nim.
Okay. Enti yen hia mu nti na mo se mo mpene na na.
Because ya ye kompo no so no ne ye hu ye ho no enye eno na aban no be ye no. The enti na American sa no 2019 no aban ye sa program ni bi no. Me hwa ye hu fa so bi a e ba so. Ncheso mu wo ne me kan ho no se sa ba se sika di aye bibi na de na American se enfa so enni so no.
Okay.
Obeya ade no minister, former minister ono de o hia that year mu be say emprenu na miensa na omaye ti ase se ne enti na obeya band no omo di enro ni light e kompo no omo small bi no akompo no so akoye search ana onwa hu se saa nyam no na ema ye nam no ese wo empo no so no minister kan sa no ye de because ye fishermen's na honest no yenso ye no say saa niama no ana asempo no ma ye ba be trance no ye ma ye hwe but ye fishermen ye nim say e betumi trance 1 month ye nkopo na mpo asai but nyankopon adom ade no twam a 1 week kura no ne atwam no ye nsaka and he say minister ma ye hwe a na obetumi ayi adiboni na ye won police no wo ho dia ye be fa ne sta na ye nko trance ma ye ko trance no 1 month ni su ye no ye be start no ye ni san crofo na omo ye adiboni ni nyina no minister no wo ho a still na ye de omo start ye adwuma na ye bio
enti munnim nkofo na omo ye sa
o ye ni mo
enti ade na munye hwe mfa ho na motena se ama na do stage ama aban emom na be stepping in
ma ne enti na ye ni abri wo this year no se so mo ye force ahwe ni wa be but ne ye wo se ye be ka ye kopu no so na ye ko hia omo ye adiboni no ye to mo chi omo ye di omo ku ye prapro mu tashi se ya tribute ni bi mienu mi nsa dia be guteshi na ya sisi nyama no na ya man microphone na ko sometimes ye di omo ko guteshi police station na fe di ye nye aban na ye di asem no ma aban ne busuafo wo be hu no ye no ni omo ko ye wo na ya ja microphone ye di omo ni ama akoma no ade be chi ano mo won poni so biom
okay
ano ti na ye kan sa asem
okay Mr. So ampacho ni aka say de nti a omo mpene no ebi ene say aban ene mo enhia ansa na we ekoso but e dey important na fishmongers no ebi a one kasa anase mo association members na dey ene omo kasa no nti na omo mpene apart from say aban ene mo enhia
no ni pedi yo mi peji ke carpenter ni o ya pe sen be carpenter ngo waya waya fitango o ya fitango ya boso kan o waya carpenter ngo mene wo shinu wota na meni ameke onupa aje ameko insho no amele so ye logo ama ka bulugo bi ene ni nyo ni jenke adafi nyetwa mugubanye e ko pona ba bia kenye pe nyenye pe mi kebu wulache meni yo gan ne loko be na mele gbe yen so mi no ni yo wonu ji lo fe lo ni yo so mi wulache ele lo egbe mene ni kabo yo nye wulenyo eye abreku ni insho wo gameni ji fantebe ke dibe mo ko fe mo ko ni yawo insho property ni ona si wole me je akeshi amebu mo yi amegbejano toji ame small trouble no do na me small trouble ji insho na me ko bu kenke bu talele mi ni ke bu tensho yin koko wa hwe ni bi na me na insho je loko bibi o ni efe to ni be pi ame small na me yuo ona ni tashi ne ike inya yo partner wo felele poli je loko bibi o le ni ba fishing boat amegbe na Russia too. Ule ame anko ni amewo. Ame drame. Ame na clear. Agashi ame meya na magbelu. Na ame ka be fishing boat e. But to ame yami. Ame for me yami de ke ten. Ya abasan oha enyo kese kebu ofi lele do ke hami ni mi kwanu ni tabu aka wo meya na Russia fishing boat ame jigbe amba destroy ya mi ni jinu no wa fi ole ni ba na efe na kan low ni eni esa na me ba ni wo poli bi e o ba gbe ye keje brema ame ye he na me nyo ame ba ame ke eshebi ni wo side e ka me baje me hu ame create ya bibi na me ke gbo amuli keta school boy more than British a year me keta school boy one of the restaurant ye wo Accra bi ne ame ke spices say wo I get fish chips meaning te yakpe me Chinese bi wo suma I make a sea salad. Huh?
If I remember. So we're having a conversation with regards to the ban that is going to be imposed within July and August in order to help with the stock of fishes that is being dwindled in the country so far. I've been talking to Ni Amate. He is a canoe owner and a fisherman association chairman. And then also I have Atasoa, who is a canoe owner and a fisherman. Now, basically what they are saying is that, again, I think I'll say more about what Soa is saying. He is talking about the Chinese fishing out all the fingerlings out of the sea and naming it fish salad. Ona, boka I'm a chole fish salad.
Wosuma.
Fish.
Wosuma amagbla matongu. Because ni wo yo ne woleme amejegba amebo to e. Ko yo jogba akobabi. No ni yo meji. Ko insure shishin. Ko tension na ni insure ifan. Obana ke te here aye gwaji na flawless site to ye to salad ke flo ko operate mbiane ni pasho bi e olenuji lo e te ni ame ni challenge bi ni ame ke dada wujin ewu ame ya ase lo ke ame ya ni ke bubu e ke lo e na me te e ke ame tofu e ka ame mumu
okay inuji ni ofa noji problem e men kind shada nko yesa. But ban no, it's not just for Mo, it's for the Chinese also, because I'm gonna say if they fish with their trawlers now, they would arrest them as well. It's either it's na Mo penny say ban because I bet boamo in the end of the day.
Oh, say as a chairman American, me woman point back one American say first one American say any year in Shiano. When a man church council my body wabano. Omuri ya kompuno so. Yeah, boat is na juma rafo no eni ye nhia but chief fishermen na omo hwe ye so wo mpoano no omo na aban invite omo be lunch kura lunch na ye obi akọ enjoy no so eno so ya mfre ye chief fishermen na no de omo ko ye sa lunch no but chief fishermen de abamu omuti ase ba ye adwuma ra na ye de sika ye adwuma de ya mfre ye
ya ni se mu share ban sisi a eden na mo be ka che na eden na mo pe efin share ni
okay aban na ehwe ye so ana onu hwe se oye banda hu betoye ana ye nso ye se ye mpre but ahode no woni nchen enti se obeye force se obeye ade no a eni ma mienu na ehia ye se niema mienu no se ba ko no eye enrobon na ye di kompo no afenso sa chanafo a me bra bom di almost every tete omo wompo no so but omo wo ba bia boundary wo ye ni omo ntem a omo ye adwuma no wo ho a omo mba da ba sesi ano China fo yi udi omu kasa wompo so ka China wo so won kan kan ne e wo kan no onti omu ye adwuma no di ba ye side abese ho nyina ti se me brother kan ye no enti se abansi sa niama no nti na obeye band no and I was say asa anya no on stop onya we say China for no be di baby a wo ana afen so ni omo di light ni ka badi nyama no ekwo no ye no mo masa generator na yedi ko so light ewo mpo no no obetumi sua generator e di fa your friend say Marie police for office here name e di ko mpo anu na Marie police for wotum say on be say generator wo di go ya de wo mpo na no omo jasi na e di agubo tumu na e di afu e wo fiti abo Marie police for so omo wa abo enti sa nyama na enu nti na aban ekoko ye band no oye band ni wi a na still na ye adwuma no enti se e bia nipa omo ye band ho adwuma no aja se ye te omuka ana aban te omuka omo te omuka enti sa nyama na o sika na wo be sei na ne enti na wo sei sika no later on nyama no be sai den asa ba mo enfa so be na we ya
okay yeah, better about conversation this will be on, but there's a fishmonger who is also lamenting, and I want you to take a listen. When we come back, we'll continue with the conversation.
COVID yeah, papa, you school fees. I'm university. And nanto. My name is can you tell about your school fees? This is about to open me. Open what I'm batching. COVID na band the whole world. Maybe remember I say this is what to Mabadi busy. And I want to come busy. And I can't get to Mabadi busy inside by your son. Nanado, Mamma people in the Bamasanala, open to me that I can see. No, I to open you. Bush now, Bush Labian, now Bush look upon you. Bosumoko po yin ani ti busume bien then ibo you go school ibo I must have a good partner. Yeah, I'm going to school. I better go school. I'm not going to school fees. I am your good partner. And you go partner. It's just school fees. It's supposed to be any young by saying. I bet you know what I am. And you didn't know part. I didn't know Canada. Which may have been. I want by saying Darby. And yes, I buy a son. And you have a time again. And said, Damn, COVID no trauma. Be in the baby of COVID trauma. And I follow fire and go to joy with son. I'm a COVID in chum. Now I feel I am a baby. I'm a COVID in chum. COVID na bad. I'm a butu cry day. And yet, send a young man crash from the front of a man. The man not to say. Yeah. But I will be so bad. About trauma. I got an alcohol, but I remember say about trauma. And told Jimmy, I am punching. Now,
as I indicated earlier, you have seen the fishmongers lamenting about the ban, talking about how it will affect them, their survival, because this is what they have lived on for ages, since even before I was born, probably before you were born, they have been feeding on this, and now there is a ban. So for 2 months, they are saying that they would not have anything to feed on. Now back to our conversation. Yemfani say, ban no muye dien kra ebeba so ni so edien na mo say be aban pese oboamu within that 2 months since na COVID ye call lockdown and now ebi mu ntu electricity ni so say be aban pese oboamu edien na mo be pay free aban ho
ani chairman
Eji
na first no ban.
Okay, chairman.
Oh ma to mo we me kan ri fa enu na say 2 things no say aban wotomi ye betumi aye dede sa owotum se obeye hwini ho aye beye but ntiase o se obeye dia ye be hu se ono aban no wa bomoden no e wo se ono nso on pepepe maye ti se ye maami kan aye no sa na ade no ti ye hwo a eni bi na e wo ye ne mu no last month ye hu nam bi be se 15 years no sa nam no ye hu bi da Yahunam be last month, no, every on the 7th, Yanamua, Namubi, I did your festival. Yahunu, and I was a young woman this year, a fisherman.
Okay.
Up to last 2 weeks, any last week, Seb and Rakra. Yahunam be Yansu, Yaniaman, Yankubo, the share, the share pratas. Yawanama Yahu won't put so Yahua, Yanusan, a Juman bedding. Ebekwan enuntina ye ni ye numuzu eprepro mu no ya hu se asika no wo ho enti ye si e kwan no anampo no so onjina fa akoti se dan si ho enam no onamti enam bi be ho a wo hu no be say 15 years wo sa hu no biom
okay
elefa se no na ya hu no sa nam na ya hu no wo free hanso ebedi by 2-3 a month no okokro foforo so
okay
na Africa na ha
okay
enti se si e kwan wo season we mo be say o me kwan na yenja yesika no ne amam pesika mbe maye.
Okay, na so opese ebia wate opese omamu sika na mu register be data be a obasesi a say opese omamu bibia obetimi ahwe sa data no so no ode amamu.
Oh man, ayo ene de tisa. Me yes I say. Ti say ye association. Ye normal. Me hwa obi anya kwan ewo normal ye register mu sesi a metumi aka say ende kra ye wo meeting so ba nisa. Sesi a me vice a frame say omo hwe adwuma no ye no. Metumi aka say ye 117 people were minting right now.
Okay.
Me fan say empuano ho no ne ye ka ye ho mu kan ho ye no rough cry be do 250 people for test side pe.
Okay.
Me gidi say baby anso chief fisherman wo ho enti krata da obi an say ana botis ni nyina da ho ya normal ni nyina obisa say James Tomu ya obi wo secretary betuma say ye 20 aso ye 50 enti normal wo ho abansi wo ye bribi wo ho obi ansa be kan ye no.
Okay, but sure, my time also, but before I call, person be very brief.
Me. Oh, no need pek gan ma page. Anu kwale ko mepe. Dani neke wo ya ne. To enjole baba ye here. Jake wo ya fen wo la chemade. No di yo na kanji. Ke aband insure ibanye fite 2 weeks.
Okay.
Ke insure e fite 2 weeks ko me ya ebula ya fen ba fite lo obandi ake akayawo binu ba gbele ke na kan binu ba gbele ni insure fite mi no ba ke wo ya nyumo bi ona yo ame bi ami ama me koko bi ami ne lo ke ne binu nga aka me kaya binu ba gbele ke lo eho lo ba no dumo so gon yen ko na me ho lo madame mesa ton bien que osu kase lucky lo ba gbe lo no ni peke ni on peji no de amefi o ni kebu ilele wo ja endi se ba power dan ma ba back to fisherman mene ofa mba no ni jenu wo la cheme tomboni tonyen kebu e ko osumu akenu fe na ngwa medi tumo blema keje 1980 beni mini wo la cheme am control insure ni Chinese bi neni money ebe ache wo ya mi mi ke ya cha police beni ya ewo fishing boat mi ni amule ni aklete dona mama pe wo ya lo doni ne ke ma ja to njole ni o fe o to ma do wo mi ke bwa ke onupa ni yo amralo mi amen no fe no awu la cheme ko o kwa keshi wonyi agbelolo bia ne o famba bia ne keje English
intervention o fine in 1 minute per ni bon o wie no ko fie ko ni
ma o fa no ra no no ne penny yo ma ke enye me wule me ke ya cheme ke me ni shan lo fin no fia no nyongbo gbe oni ayo ne o ni nyongbo gbe ona yo mo fia mo anatwi ni wo no wo yu ne wo yu aka menehi alo iatwe
oh fine
wo yu aka menehi si no wo yu oji won yu anokwale ni won ke government ke shishi bi even fishes bi ake amebo wo me ni wo yo nsho hi etue ameka wo me ni wo ya we ameka wo wi mu atuni amma bi wo na agba ni wo ka me ko na me le ake mbi enwa helo mbi enwa he ma me pato ase we me ka wo twi mu wa ba ko we pa me pese already fishing minister oni ni nkrofo omu we ho no ye wo amu ase ye ni mu se ye mpanyfo ni omu na se bribi na ope wo mpunu mu a chief fishermen no omu ti fie ana ye kompusu a ya ba be bo omu amane enti senhie mu bi wo ho ana bribi wo ho omu be ye no ye yi omu no mu fa ye be ye meeting no mu ka kire se ya hu se mpunu so no we ni we wo ho mu so na mu kwa ho enti ye pese ye se wo hu o ampa ye nsa we no ya enti minister ye maye ma ti wona wo ka kire 50 fisherman say ye ti ya at the same time no ye ti no nye ya waste na ya na wo di paracetamol aba ebe da na yare no
Beko, Matthias, yeah, that's it, break. We just hope, say, I buy 88 Damokan so that they can come and talk to you. Some person on name Becca, some time or so, intino. Next time, you better sign now. If you just tuned in, we're talking to the fishermen, Ni Amate Charles, and then also Atat Soa, and they were expressing their grievances with regards to the ban that has been issued for this month and next month. Their concern majorly has to do with the fact that they were not consulted like every other decision that usually is made in this country. And so they're asking that they talk to them so they give them a better solution rather than banning. This, of course, has been the social segment on the morning update. My name, Nana Abena Sewa. We'll see you. Eric is on standby.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Masa, tam kubari am kan ko fi ayi mi dun mo baje bol na jam wai ha be biya yi ti am be bi wai
HD logo the bottom. When you say HD local channels na mo hedo. And so pictures here clear. E 5 times better. As other channels that could be show hormone. So the men someone tell me right away. Oh, what the pictures.
Who knows tomorrow?
What the picture? What do AD plus decoder or multi TV and now electroland agent PR natural local channels now HD the here so better
Star 879 hash.
Numbers from Kubu box and now the advert AD channels now. You can
get an HD plus decoder from now till the 9th of August for just $89.99 Ghana cedis and enjoy 3 months free subscription. Enjoy all the excitement and live sports action in the HD Plus Air Bustle Feely Promo. Promo lasts from 7th June to 9th August 2021. Visit hd-plus.com.gh or call 024-243-9872 for more info.
Half a nose for good things.
I love makeup. Applying it gives me so much joy. But when it's time to take it off, nothing does the job quite like the Black Secret Makeup Wipes. When I go somewhere and I feel really sweaty, I take my Black Secret wipe and I use it on my face. It picks me up and I don't look as tired as I did when I walked in.
Before I work on a client's face, I like to go over it with Black Secret makeup wipes to make sure the face is clean. It doesn't leave the face dry and tight, but it keeps it soft and moisturized.
Wipes say your bodo.
Barcope, and it gets the job done. Or baby, and the smell makes the experience even better.
Thank you very much. This is Xyz. I enjoyed the conversation with the fishermen. It tells you that there's a lot of conversation that is still supposed to be done, especially because these fishermen are the ones who put protein on our table. When I checked from the Fisheries Commission's website, there are up to about 500,000 people who are directly or indirectly involved in the trade. And we know that besides going to sea and coming back with some few buckets of fish, there is no other source of livelihood. These fishermen don't have any form of insurance. I know governments have made pledges that they were going to introduce some kind of social security package for them where they can make contributions and eventually stay on whatever they are able to save and draw money from it when they go on retirement. And we know also that these fishermen don't have a proper database of themselves. So it's difficult for any government to really plan a package because you wouldn't know who is really a fisherman and by what definition and what kind of package that can be given to them. And so enforcing the close season is a very difficult issue. And they have raised concern about monitoring. We know there's a marine police department. The Ghana Navy has a few helicopters here and there. But the coastal belt from Aflao all the way to Discove is quite a long stretch. And these fishermen are very smart. So you can imagine that the few marine police officers we have, if they are not liaising with national security at the London beaches where these people will bathe and then they will just move on to them and then arrest them, then the difficulty obviously will be the fact that the enforcement will be very, very poor, as the fishermen also suggested in their presentation. So at this stage, we are just asking, how can all of us collectively put our thoughts together so that we can enforce the ban? Because it is in the interest of the fishermen. Some time ago, I remember around 2010, they were talking about introducing fiber boats. People from the Fisheries Commission, the ministry then went to China to go and learn from them to introduce these things. And a lot of resources were wasted because at the end of the day, we have not seen many of these fiber boats along our beachfront. I'll stop there, but I will introduce Mohammed Abdul Aziz. He's the former MP for Myong. He's one of my guests, and he's in the studio already. Mohammed, good morning.
Good morning.
How's everything?
I'm blessed. Hope you're doing good too.
This morning, we would look at the press conference by the NDC.
Okay.
Johnson Asiedu Nketia raised some serious points. And I remember there was a question that directly asked him that when you talk about politicians who have assumed the role of institutional heads, what really is he referring to? And he made a comment that sounded very sarcastic as usual from him, but loaded with wisdom. And he wrapped up by saying, he who the cap fits must wear it. He said people should go and measure their heads. And if your cat fits the kind of statement he has made, just put your head in it, which obviously, as representative of Asiedu Nketia, using the typical Obibeka Sefi Nyansa in his presentation. But there are serious issues in there. We also know that the senior staff of technical universities have also started their nationwide strike. It appears at the tertiary level, these agitations are going on, and we don't know really the impact on academic work, especially in these COVID areas, COVID times. You remember that the traditional universities, the senior staff went on strike, the tutors also went on strike, they have called it off. Then we came to the technical universities, it's the same tutor, and then later senior staff follow, as if it is a well-planned thing. We're looking at that. And of course, if there's time, we'll look at the census. We have some few more days to the census night. So you are welcome.
Thank you.
Now, just 2 minutes on the fishing industry. We know the essence of the close season. In 2019, it was done. After back and forth, at least government succeeded in ensuring that there was some level of enforcement that went well. I don't know the impact. The fishermen are not speaking to that, but they have their own thinking about the impact. 2020, it didn't happen. 2021, the fishermen are raising issues. For them, lack of sensitization. Briefly, what would you recommend government should do around this time?
Engagement. If you ask me to give you a word that would be able to resolve the differences between the fishermen and government, I would call for engagement between the two parties. They best understand the industry, and so to issue a policy and implement a policy in that space, you will need to engage them to see how best you can deal with it. The bedrock of the policy is to protect the fishing stock, But I remember sometime in the past when I used to work at GIFEC, Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communication, we had something we called e-fishing. I mean, there was a project we were doing called e-fishing where we were engaging the fishermen we supported them with some gadgets that was to allow them do their fishing well, so that when you are in your boat, you'd have some part of the gadget in the water and some part in your boat, so that even before you catch the fish, you can see them exactly. And so if you monitor through the screen and you know where you were dealing with, you had fingerlings around. Yes. Once you see them to be fingerlings, you just let them go. Just let them go. So there was a project of that sort, e-fishing, and so maybe government should be talking to the fund to see if that e-fishing is still in place. Because
how should we see the implementation of some of these bold or laudable initiatives, where we see government spending a lot of resources transporting people from here to abroad to go and do what we call transfer of learning or knowledge, and they come back and we shelve them. And there are people at the ministries, departments, and agencies who have on several occasions benefited from some of these trips. And it's a lot of money. But when we come back, we don't see concerted effort towards implementation, which is waste.
That one is widespread. It's not only related to the fishing industry, that day in, day out, our public servants, politicians travel abroad to learn best practices, hoping that when they come, they would implement same or similar policies and programs. But unfortunately, that has not been the case. Some of us who have had the privilege to work within the public service before we ventured into a mainstream politicking will tell you that with all respect to public servants out there and even the political class, some would take such learning opportunities as time to go and have fun, go around and do shopping. I don't want to mention a particular country. Anytime I travel abroad, when I used to work for GIFEC, you go to conferences and seminars, and all that you see is that some spend more time in going to town to do shopping and to have fun at recreational facilities. And so at the end of the day, the knowledge transfer that you were expecting to benefit, and that is even my worry when it comes to the political level. You have ministers, deputy ministers, and other political appointees who travel abroad, and you expect that they would bring back home some edge-cutting policies and programs that would be able to improve the lives of Ghanaians. But that is not what you see, and that is worrying.
But you see, I'm carefully choosing my words. This morning, I was trying to provoke the system by suggesting that, look, there is some weight in what John Peter Mewu has said recently, which has provoked clock sack. John Peter Mewu simply says that, look, let us see some efficiency among those working within the civil and the public service sector. And so he said when regimes change, they should go with some of these public servants or civil servants. Clocksack has issued a statement suggesting that the comment was provocative. They made a long list of reasons they have. Yes, they may take it personal, but my view is that if really we want to protect the public purse, and we know that the Civil Service Act gives some level of protection to civil servants to the extent that as a strong union working in tandem with the TUC, it is easy for them to say, let us look at Ghana first. And therefore, those there at the helm of affairs should be seen to be checkmating what politicians come in and go do all the time. And so if there's no clause that gives them that fear factor beyond prosecutions if they are found guilty, then we are wasting our resources on them. And so what do you make of this conversation where we started off from people benefiting from training workshops at the expense of the state policies thrown in there, and there's no deliberate commitment towards ensuring that it is enforced.
Well, the commentary of Peter Ameo, in my estimation, is the most weird to have come from a Minister of State relative to our public and civil servants. I would not in any way agree with what Mr. Ameo is advocating for. That will call for some chaos within the labor front in this country. He's been a minister. I don't know if he had worked within the public service before he went to ASEP, but I totally disagree with him. It's the most weird argument to have come from a person of his stature. You know, you've worked with civil servants. I'm sure at the ministries that he worked, at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and at the Ministry of Energy, public servants helped him to achieve whatever he would claim to have achieved. And so to assume that once a particular regime is voted into power, they should clear all the civil servants and bring a new set of civil servants, I mean, that cannot be. For the political class, those that are politically appointed, chief executive of some government agencies, that is understandable. But to talk about clearing all civil servants simply because a government has changed, that would create some chaos of a sort. And even when you read the text of Closak, and he's not the only person, most people don't understand the distinction between public servants and civil servants. And there are several court rulings in respect of who a public servant is and who a civil servant is, who can be engaged in politics and who cannot be engaged in partisan politics. And so I think that what we have today is the best for us. Civil servants must be protected, they must be professional, they must support whatever regime is in place to succeed.
Okay,
I mean, we have a contact.
Hold on, I'll come to you. Mohammed Aziz is the former MP for Myong. Joe Jackson, I told you earlier, is also part of our show today. I'll be taking a short break. I want you to think about this. The law protects the civil service. Ghanaians expect that the civil servants also protect our public purse. And over the years, there's this conversation about corruption, waste, and all kinds of things you can imagine. Policies sitting on the shelf and people don't care about what really goes into it. And so do you think that there should be another system of ensuring that the public service actually becomes more efficient, more productive? Remember Dr. Akwesindom's time when they talked about public sector reforms, there were issues about productivity and so on. We'll spend a little time. When I come back after this brief break, Joe Jackson will speak to the issue. And then don't forget, we have Johnson Asedun Ketia, who has also been speaking to the media. I'll play excerpts of it. And then I'll play excerpts of what the Judicial Service said at that time, just before the ruling on the 2021 election petition case. And there is more when we come back.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Ifo kra na menyisika. Edia ye mefui.
Ehin fa pa na menya bosia edia tre medwuma yimu.
Kai kra mabre ni yebusia ato taxi fufu. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yema akwa baba Suhum Rural Bank. Ye won hye ahodo bi te se dwadifo abosia, ekokro bosia, susu account. And it does all savings account. Me bada chain savings account. And then the keka home. Suhum Rural Bank was 034229186. Now one so to miaka say.
Suhum Rural Bank. Ama ene mayeka una.
Suhum Rural Bank. Entime pa minie.
Suhum Rural Bank, growing our heritage.
Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For Akwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Needs Microfinance. Growing with you.
Welcome back. I started the newspaper review segment with Mohammed Abdul Aziz, former MP for Myong, and Joe Jackson is also with us, seated in the middle. Joe, you're welcome.
Good to see you again.
Happy to see you. Somebody said for not to brofo, na fantiful on brofo na ne piu kakra.
Fanciful. Fanciful, yes, Santa. Easy pen.
Of course, Chibum. What's the Igwefo when I know you want to do? If you fan, Simpenny.
If you win a
you
make you sing a break.
Okay, all right. So I want us to listen to Johnson Asedun Ketia, and when we come back, we'll continue this conversation.
The opinion expressed by Dr. Ayene, which we in the NDC share without any equivocation, is not actionable and does not violate any rule of professional conduct for lawyers. As a matter of fact, neither Dr. Ayene nor we in NDC can be compelled, and I repeat, can be compelled to increase our confidence in the independence of the judiciary, even when the court has not given us any basis or reason so to do. The Chief Justice ought to be reminded that according to Article 125 of our Constitution, justice emanates from the people and is administered on behalf of the Republic by the judiciary, which shall be independent. Public confidence in the independence of the judiciary must therefore be earned and not be forced on us. Nobody can force anybody to have confidence in a system that does not justify that confidence. It is naturally not possible. So if you want me to have confidence in you, you must demonstrate by your actions that you deserve that confidence.
So we all know the story. That was Johnson Asedun Ketia, General Secretary of the NDC. As for Clocksag and the fight with John Peter Amewu, we'll do the rest at the tail end of this conversation. Joe, you are welcome.
Thank you.
I'm sure you have followed them. It started some days ago when the Chief Justice's petition to the General Legal Council became public knowledge. and you have listened to the NDC. What's your reaction to this banter between NDC, the Chief Justice, and Dr. Ayeni?
Well, first of all of us have a stake in making sure institutions work in this country. And think about it. The Chief Justice says, I'm unhappy with the statement you made. And then he sends you to the General Legal Counsel to look at the issue. Forgive me, but what's so wrong with that? If you are saying that the Constitution allows you to do this, if you're saying that it is important for all of us, let the Judicial Council also say, the Chief Justice says, I feel aggrieved. And one thing we must be able to do is to resolve our conflicts. I disagree with you. I think your statement impugns the Supreme Court. It's his opinion. He can't take action on his opinion. All he can do is to refer to another authority to say, this is what I think. This is what Honorable Ayeni thinks. And I think that his statement impugns the institution. Let the General Legal Counsel make a determination. Forgive me, but the protests are too much. Forgive me, Ayeni has definitely got to defend himself, and everybody should give him the right to defend himself before the Legal Counsel or wherever he thinks is appropriate. But you cannot protest that sending the matter to the Legal Counsel takes away from your rights.
There are two issues that I derived from Johnson Asiedu Nketiah's presentation yesterday. First, he talks about the fact that Dominic Ayeni cannot be gagged, and so it satisfies your initial position that so go and defend yourself.
Exactly.
But they are saying that they have seen a tangent of a deliberate targeting of NDC lawyers, and many of them have been hauled just recently to the General Legal Counsel. And then let me just quote one paragraph, and I'll be very brief. This paragraph is with reference to examples they cited about people who have made similar statements, and the Judicial Service perhaps has not shown interest. It said the Human Rights Division, presided over by Justice Gifty Ejay Addo, ruled against the General Legal Counsel in an application brought by lawyer Francis Sosu. Lawyer Sam Okujeto-Blaka once again went into town attacking and questioning the capacity of the judge, and goes on and on. Yesterday, they made reference to Kennedy Japon's issue and several other ones. They mentioned Roxanne Dafa-Mekpo, who is a lawyer. They mentioned Abraham Amaleba, who are among people they have identified as targeted group who belong to their party. And so they are saying that tyrant attitude, as they used very harsh on the Chief Justice, was what they were fighting.
I take exception to the harsh words used on the Chief Justice. Listen, for better or for worse, I may not necessarily be in the president's party, but I respect his office and I respect his seat. I think that there's an argument being made that NDC lawyers are being attacked. I've heard the argument. There may be some merit in it, but it doesn't justify the attack on the Chief Justice in that way. And I think it's gone to the General Legal Counsel. I doubt, in fact, I even think that Honorable
Asiedu Nketiah.
No,
Dominic Ayeni.
He can defend himself.
Yes, he's
put out a statement already.
In the last paragraph says, with all due respect, His Lordship, the Chief Justice, I wish to state that I stand by the opinion I expressed at the said roundtable discussion. Now, let me come to you briefly, Aziz. Now, he talks about protecting institutions. Yesterday, Johnson Asiedu Nketiah also raised concern about institutional heads who wear political colors, but he was not able to speak directly to the point when a question was asked. But all he said was, if you measure your head and it fits the cap weight, and it meant what simplified his position on that.
Well, that's a very bad development that as a country, you know, we have three arms of government, the executive, the legislature, and then the judiciary. You'd expect that at any time that we're at a crossroad, the judiciary, as a neutral arbiter, would step in. But the confidence in our judiciary is waning, and there are a plethora of some research works that point to the fact that majority of Ghanaians do not have confidence in our judiciary system. And what the NDC did yesterday was just to share light on what we believe is the situation. I mean, and we are entitled to do that. We did not ask Honorable Ayeni not to appear before the General Legal Council. But as a political party and as individuals, we have every right to share our perspective on what we think is going on, and that was what we did yesterday. And General Asedun Ketia did not mince words when he said that as a party we feel that we are being targeted. We think that the Chief Justice is doing some targeting of lawyers who are affiliated to the NDC, and he gave a plethora of examples. Lawyer Amaliba, Roxin, and Honorable Ayeni, and several other lawyers who are affiliated to the NDC have been hauled before the General Legal Council. And that we think is unfair and would need to call a spade and not a big lard law spoon. Now, you are talking of a situation where CDD organized a conference, you know, to do some academic work on the court ruling relative to the presidential petition. You know, at that forum, there were lawyers who praised the judges. At that same forum, there were lawyers who praised the judges and the ruling. Dr. Ayeni critiqued that ruling at that same forum. Now, the Chief Justice is so comfortable with the praise that came at that forum, and yet so uncomfortable with the critique of the ruling. The matter has been disposed of. You see, for what we need to appreciate is that Dr. Ayeni is not just a member of parliament, but also a lecturer, a lawyer, a former deputy attorney general of this country, just to share his understanding, his perspective. That is enough to warrant an invitation for some disciplinary actions.
What is the suspicion?
No
action yet.
No, it says when I say disciplinary action, it is not to suggest that he will not be given any hearing. But once you trigger that process, it means that you, as the Chief Justice, has established some prima facie case against him. And why? That case, even at that forum, there was a Supreme Court judge who spoke to the matter. The matter has been disposed of. And so I don't understand. Look, this country belongs to all of us. If you are a public servant, be a public servant. If you want to be a politician, get out of public service and come and join us in the fray, and we'll all do the game together. But you can't be a public servant and yet would want to play politics with us. We would call you out without any fear or favor. You can drag all of us to the court to charge us with what contempt or whatever. But this country, we must build this country together. Why?
Okay.
I'm saying that at that forum, even CDD, that provided Dr. Ayeni with the platform, they have held media houses to the court before, simply because they provided platform for people to make comments that they consider as not proper and fitting. Why have you not cited the institution that even created that platform?
I'll come back to you, but Joe, we are talking about protecting institutions. How can actors in those institutions play their roles in order not to raise unnecessary suspicion?
No, but think about it. All the Chief Justice is saying that there are certain parts of your statement that damage the institution that I have to protect. And because of that, I'm sending this issue to another party to, what do you call it, to review it.
What has been raised, maybe let me provide you with this information, you may know it already, is that the Chief Justice is supposed to be chair of the General Legal Council. And so people are looking at the potential conflict of interest and where he also establishes the perception that a prima facie case has been already established.
But you see, we can't have it both ways. We can't have it both ways. If, you see, you can't say that an institution is not working well and yet say that when the institution takes the proper process, because you see, I want somebody to come up and say the Chief Justice took the wrong process. Can the Chief Justice have a grievance? Can the judiciary have a grievance? Shouldn't be addressed according to the processes that are there? And you see, let's be clear. If I sit on this program and I attack the presidency in a certain way, should the presidency not be able to respond? If I attack Abdulaziz or Honorable Asiedu Nketia in a certain way, shouldn't they be able to respond? And it is up to someone to summon me before court and say that the language you used was intemperate.
No, but you see, Joe Jackson, unfortunately, I may seem to be coming back and forth, but it is perhaps making us expand further the arguments on the table.
No, it's important.
Now, you'd realize that the NDC has raised 3 issues that you seem to be discriminating when it comes to the application of the concern about maligning the service. That's 1. And 2, Johnson Asiedu Nketia yesterday suggested that it never happens in any court or any traditional setting where the chief who is about to give a ruling preempts the possible reaction and issues a caution. And I deliberately went for this particular tape. And you remember before the Supreme Court ruling, there was a joint press conference by the GJA and the Judicial Service after Tadiosori had issued a statement on behalf of the Judicial Service threatening the media in particular about commentary after the ruling. Now, you listen to this tape. It's very brief. And then maybe you can respond why these are feeding into the suspicion of the NDC.
The opinion expressed by Dr. Ayene, which we in the NDC share without any equivocation, is not actionable and does not violate any rule of professional conduct for lawyers. As a matter of fact, neither Dr. Ayene nor we in NDC can be compelled.
So that's rather a wrong tape. I'm talking about the press conference held by the Judicial Service, and I'm sure that tape is available. I think my producers got me wrong, but it's ready. Let's listen to that now.
You will have to take this phase of the responsibility very seriously. It's as important as the role you have performed in transmitting the proceedings worldwide, because at the end of the day, the Ghanaian people own the process. And it's important that they understand what went on, and that when the judges speak, irrespective of our preferences, our likes and dislikes, by the rules of engagement, the referee blows the whistle and the lots fall where they fall. And so let's be constructive, let's be proactive. And His Lordship has said, I should tell you, that as trustees of the People's Power of Justice, we are willing and happy to be criticized. Criticize us as violently as you can, but for Christ's sake, don't insult us. Don't berate us. Don't speak hatred. Don't malign us. Don't, because like yourselves and the work that you do and the heart that you bring to bear on it, it's a similar responsibility. It's a similar consciousness with which judges embrace their work. As a lawyer, I thought I knew judges. I spent my whole life in these buildings. And I mean, they're not, I can say in all humility, there are not many lawyers who have spent their time here as I did. And I thought I understood it all. But in the transition I have made, I have come to appreciate the complexities, the difficulties, the challenges of being a judge. And sometimes the sleeplessness that you go through in making sure that you can...
So you heard Yoni Kolindi, and then of course he's one of the latest which joined the list of Supreme Court judges. And so Asedin Ketie's assertion is that even before the ruling, the Supreme Court perhaps had anticipated a certain reaction, and they sent that notice irrespective of the public outcry by the letter written by Thaddeus Sorry, and that is what is playing out, and that is the reaction. Joe?
I would disagree. You see, the temperature of the country was very high at that time. And we all have to admit the partisan nature and the partisan divide that exists. And you may say it was a covert warning. Someone will also say that the Supreme Court, knowing how high the temperature was, knowing how partisan the country was only cautioning that, listen, whatever we say, parts of this country will be aggrieved. And let not everybody be confused. A significant portion of this country supported the NDC. A significant portion supported the NPP. Whatever the outcome was going to be, there was going to be a significant portion of this country unhappy. And some of us were worried that we hope that when this ruling comes out, it will be addressed in, I like the word he used, a constructive manner. And it will not devolve to insults and others. Now, I agree that if you wish to, anybody who was going to be dissatisfied with the ruling could now use this and say this was going to be an attempt to gag them. At the same time, you would say maybe it is a prudent way for us to address the temperature that is in this country. For the referee to say, I'm coming to rule, VAR is going to rule on the
match,
on this goal, and this goal is at the final minute. Call the two
teams
and say, I beg you, when I rule, take it.
So where is the VAR where it is difficult to differentiate between criticize me at will, but don't attack me? How do you draw the correlation? Let me come to you briefly, Mohammed Aziz, especially when this controversy over the election petition case seemed to be lingering. I'll read a statement by Chachuchi Kata when he granted an interview recently about the ruling and the explanations that he thinks were laden with errors. But this response first.
Well, if you want to give context to the story that you even played and related to, the Chief Justice, who's the head of the judiciary, had cause to instruct their lawyer Sorry, to issue a statement, not just warning or cautioning media houses, but also instructing them to pull down all stories that they had published that they deemed unfit. This can only be described as a judicial tyranny, that you are asking media houses, if you have any issue with them, engage them, but to ask them to pull down stories that they had made, that is unfair and that is unacceptable. No, nothing prevents you from commenting on a matter before court, but you don't make a commentary that can preempt the ruling of the court. No, that's why even during the court hearing, both parties had spokespersons who spoke to the media after every sitting. But you must know the borderline where not to cross. On one occasion, Dr. Ayeni was even charged for contempt in court, and he had to apologize. That matter, you know.
But there's a school of thought that the NDC, having lost the election petition case, is prosecuting an agenda to damage the integrity of the judiciary. How do you respond to that?
Oh, this was, look, the lead petitioner. The petitioner, President Mahama, publicly accepted the ruling, even though we had issues with it. We've let it go. But this was a platform created by CDD to solicit views from both sides on the matter. How can this be interpreted to mean that there was a deliberate attempt to run down the judiciary? That cannot be. What I'm saying, just a moment, Look, in this country, we've had a sitting member of parliament, Kennedy Japan, on live television, insult a judge. In fact, his words were very clear. You are a stupid judge. You are stupid. And mention the judge. Have you heard that matter with that with that same level of force that the Chief Justice is applying to the case of Dr. Ayeni? How come that almost all the lawyers that he has referred to the General Legal Counsel are lawyers who are affiliated with the NDC? How come?
Okay, so leave that question and let me see if perhaps because Joe Jackson has a slightly different opinion on the approach, I would want to respond to it. This suspicion, has it been deliberately created or it has been fueled by actions by the Chief Justice, for example? I remember the Kennedy Japan case. He raised concerns about the potential conflict of interest. And the Chief Justice is aware of a decision to take the case away from the judge sitting on the case. Look, it's been months now, and nothing has happened. And the NDC is citing its lawyers who are being whipped. Is that fair? Does it protect the integrity of the institution we are talking about?
You see, there's also cause and effect. And I will explain this. Sometimes, right, the fact that two things happen at the same time doesn't necessarily mean that there's a cause and effect. There could be. But think about it. Which lawyers are most likely to be criticizing the Supreme Court after a ruling was made against them? Has to be
the previous cases that have been referred to the General Legal Counsel are not necessarily in relation to the election petition case.
But you see, there is... So what we're saying is that today, as we sit, there's a natural bias. If I'm a lawyer with an MPP bias, I'm kind of happy with the
ruling.
With the ruling and with the
activities of the Supreme
Court. Flip it, and I'm not. And so, what then happens is that in any scenario, there's a temptation to criticize, because I already have a grievance, I'm already unhappy, and it was clear that
I want to read
even though the NDC accepted the ruling, there were obvious reservations, and they're entitled to their reservations. But let's not give a dog a bad name and then hang it.
I want to refer to...
When the dog has a bad name,
I want to refer to a post...
Yes, but right now, you're going beyond calling the dog out. You're hanging the dog.
Okay, hold on. I'm sure if we have it, we'll share this. But let me read what is circulating on social media, talking about double standards by the Chief Justice and why they think, the NDC thinks that he's just prosecuting a parochial interest. Now, this is it, and it is a quote from Justice Enini Yeboah in his speech on the 2012 election petition. It says, in a serious matter in which the mandate of the entire voters of this country is being questioned through the judicial process, one expected the second responded as the sole body responsible for the conduct of the elections to have exhibited utmost degree of candor to assist the court in arriving at the truth. Surprisingly, the second responded, that's Electoral Commission, opted for filing no pink sheets, leaving the courts unassisted and thereby placing the reliance on the pink sheets supplied to the agents of the petitioners at the various polling stations in issue. Why the second respondent elected to deny assistance to a court of law in search of the truth in a monumental case of this nature is beyond my comprehension. I think this must be disrespected. Sorry, I think this must be deprecated in view of the constitutional autonomy granted to it to perform such vital functions under the Constitution for the advancement of our democratic governance. So some say this suggested an indirect attack on the judicial service at that time.
I would disagree. You know, I'll be honest. I'm not a lawyer. Let's be clear. I'm not a lawyer. So I'm saying this from a common sense position, not from a legal position. But the little I know from experience, from everything, is that when you take a case to court, you have to prove your case. Now, somehow, in that whole process, I find it difficult, and I sympathize with what the Chief Justice said by saying that those of us who were independent and were not neither NPP nor NDC found parts of the way the issue was prosecuted difficult to understand. But hey, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know the intricacies. But when the Supreme Court also comes out to say, but you didn't provide this, which is what I thought that, forgive me, if you say, I took your shoes, you give some evidence to say that the shoes are missing and that there's reason to believe that I'm the one who took it. If you don't do that and you are relying on me, on the person that is being the accused to supply you with,
it becomes difficult.
It becomes
now, just
difficult.
1 minute.
And I believe that's all he's saying.
Okay.
I'm not a
lawyer.
A lawyer, and
I'm not holding brief for
I'm not holding brief for anybody. But I just know that common sense tells me that if you accuse me of something, you can't rely on me to give you the ammunition.
Okay.
You see, we cannot engage in some cherry picking of a sort. That in 2012, the current CJ was part of the panel. Dr. Afarajan, who was the electoral commissioner, mounted the witness box and gave evidence. But because he did not file pink sheets, the current Chief Justice, who was a member of the panel, had issues with that and even spoke to that matter publicly. That I think was even wrong for him to have done that. Today, as a CJ, he was convinced that there was no need for the EC chair to mount the witness box, let alone to file any pink sheet. If Afarajan mounted the witness box and didn't file pink sheets and he had issues with it, today he sees nothing wrong, as we all saw.
So you are looking at the glass differently, isn't it?
He's engaged in cherry picking.
Okay, now let me wrap up with
just a minute. General Sidun Ketia described the system as judicial tyranny. He did not describe the person of the CJ. But if he thinks that the cap fits him, per the analogy that he gave, so be it.
Okay, so Chachichi Kata was the lead counsel for John Mahama in that case. He has spoken just 2 days ago on his views on the ruling. And I want to quote exactly what he said on the ruling. He says, I come to a clear determination that there were errors made in the decision, and I make no bones about saying so and respectfully explaining why I say so in a manner I think I've illustrated in this decision, not out of disrespect for the judges or trying to make fun of them. No. It is out of importance of their role and importance of their fidelity to the constitution of the law. And this is what it says. Unlike the 2012 election petition, when each of the judges had a chance to articulate the reasons and to explain their point of view from a legal authority standpoint, in this last petition, I think we all saw virtually in all decisions the Chief Justice will write an opinion and everybody was on board. This is a dangerous precedent. Is this an attack or a fair criticism? Comparing this to exactly what, how do you call it, Dominic Ayeni said.
You know, this is fair. I'll explain why it is fair. If he did not believe in the case he was prosecuting, he won't prosecute it. The judges disagree. He says, okay, I'm unhappy with the fact that I didn't hear from everybody, but it was the Chief Justice. That's neither here nor there. You see...
And you don't see that suspicion of manipulation, because there's a precedent in every judge's decision to agree or disagree. There's a system where they make their thoughts known, yes, so that those who study at school will appreciate the wisdom behind it.
I agree with you, but does the law prescribe what happened? No. Can it happen? Yes. That's why I say it is fair criticism to say, which is fair, and I don't dispute that. All I'm saying is that, you see, you asked, there was one thing, where do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line? And I must say that the Honorable Chachuchi Kata has articulated his vision, right, and his opinion without fear or favor.
Okay, so
at the same time, so one of the things I'm saying is that if this guy crossed the line, let the general
legal counsel deal with it. 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
The joint press conference that was organized by the
GJ and the
judicial service. It was Justice.
Are you talking about Yoni Kolende?
Justice Yoni Kolende, who represented the Chief Justice at that forum. We all heard him say clearly that criticize us as violently as you want to, but don't insult us. Don't impugn our integrity. Where in the statement of Dr. Ayeni is the insult?
Okay, so
where did Dr. Ayeni impugn the integrity of the judges?
I want you to stop at the question because we've spent almost all the time. We have less than 18 minutes left. We started the conversation with Clocksack and their reaction to what John Peter Mewu said. Now, this one part of the statement I want to quote Clocksack referred to. It says, it will be necessary to distinguish between the civil service and the public service by referring to Article 190 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. Broad generalization of public servants as civil servants is quite erroneous. The assertion by Mr. Peter Mewu is that as a politician, he comes to government with good policies and they are not implemented by civil servants, being the reason for a politician to be voted out of power is quite preposterous. Now, what did Peter Mewu say? He says, I come to government, I come out with good policies. Unfortunately, the people voted me out of power because they think my policy is not good. Unfortunately, the people who are supposed to implement remain here. They must also go so that we stop this nonsense of allowing people to work in the system, destroy the system, and blame this on politicians. We can't allow that to continue. I stop there. Brief comment, and then I'll come to you because I started with you.
I think that the Honorable Minister was a bit out of order, right? When you are appointed to a ministry or you work with the civil servants, sometimes you work with public servants, and it is your role to get them to do the work. to say that your policies didn't work because and you have left and they are behind. I disagree. It is almost, I like the word the Closak use, preposterous. In this case, I stand firmly with Closak and say, Honorable Peter Amewu, I disagree with your opinion. And I think that it is unfair to the thousands of civil servants and public servants who work to keep this country running, regardless of which
party is in power.
And what he's asking is a recipe for chaos. Can you imagine that look at even how much of a limbo we are in when parties change and just the heads change and boards have to change and boards have not been appointed and things have not been done. And then now you, on top of this, sack all the civil servants and all the public servants. That's ridiculous.
Are we not taking John Peter Amewu out of context without acknowledging the role civil servants who are protected by the law should play in protecting the public purse? One, by ensuring that policies are implemented, by ensuring that politicians don't get out of gear, but they sit and they don't care, but it is the average taxpayer, your mother and my mother, are the ones whose sweat is keeping them surviving. And if they are not doing what I can't see and I cannot do, what checks are there to ensure that the civil servant becomes productive?
The government in power has powers to reform the civil service, has powers to review the civil service. And in fact, some of us even believe that chief directors, etc., are appointed with a political and partisan eye in the place. I don't think that the powers that be lack the ability to review, lack the ability to improve the civil service. In fact, there are a lot of times when ministers go, and it is the same public servants who actually show them what to do and explain what the issues are. To say that they should all be moved, who will explain what the issues are to the next minister who's coming? You know, there is a point that maybe that I didn't get the support of my
those who are supposed to be implementing.
But you are a leader.
Okay, now let me...
gathering the team and getting the team to work for you is part of your role as a leader. Every leader faces that role. How do I get my team on which I rely on my success to work for me?
Okay, now
you can't abandon that.
Now, Aziz, your tangent was similar to that of Joe Jackson. I am adopting a posturing that should be equally expecting that the civil service as it is becomes more useful to the state if they can call a spade a spade. Over the years, they have supervised all these roads. They have supervised many things that have been shelved. And so we are adopting a particular kind of attitude where it is about protecting them because they exist. But we are not seeing that same force going into ensuring that they also add their quota efficiently as we want to see.
Public and civil servants don't supervise, they implement. They are the bureaucrats. They are the level of implementing policy. Policy formulation is for the political class to do. What Peter Amewu should understand is that the public and civil servants have been at the core of this country since independence. And that as a politician who has a 4-year mandate, you can't come and use such indecorous language on them and walk away with it. No. That is highly unfair. Some of the civil servants today are much, much older than him, experienced than him, and more committed to our national cause than he, Peter Amewu. You are just a politician with 4-year mandate. and you think that all the experience that they have gathered through their lifetime in public service, they should go home simply because a new regime is in place? Have you even imagined how many homes and individuals you would deny livelihood just by that thought alone? And yet such a person is supposed to be a person doing policy to hold this country together.
What about if there is?
See?
What about? Let me try to.
I wish
you will land. I'm looking at the end effect of systems that we have that all of us collectively must brainstorm on ensuring that there's some level of efficiency. How about, because naturally asking all civil or public servants to go to be replaced cannot happen.
And that's what he has said.
Unacceptable.
And that's what he has said.
But I see in what he said, as heads of the various institutions, they work directly with the appointees which come.
With all due
How
respect,
can we ensure that we turn everything around?
Don't put yourself in Peter Mewu's head. He said something.
So we are going by what he said.
Why are you
and not what he
putting
could,
yourself
and
in
not what he
his
could be
head
thinking about?
To reinterpret what he said.
No.
What he said is the only way we can judge. I can't put words in his mouth, and I can't
walk into his mind.
Walk into his mind. He said something. If he had said the heads should be sacked, the reaction would have been slightly different. He said all, and that's why Closak reacted with anger and what I consider righteous anger.
Right. Okay.
Because that's what he said. You see, I can't put myself in his head. I can't reinterpret his words.
No.
If he says so, please let him come out. Nobody has stopped him from calling a press conference and say, you know what, when I was
taken out of context.
I was thinking, no, you can't say out of context. All you can say is that this is not what I meant.
There was a slip of tongue.
Or whatever. But what's the context? The context was simple.
Okay.
You say, if my policies fail,
but I think
when I'm going, you should also go.
I was on the floor when Mr. Jackson just came to
wrap up in 2 minutes. Let me read some messages.
You see, and it even tells you that Peter Amewu, who is at the policy level, a full minister, doesn't even appreciate the difference between a public servant and a civil servant. There's a clear distinction of the two. You see, per our laws, public servants can engage in partisan politics, but civil servants cannot do. The police, our nurses, the military,
the teachers.
Teachers, I'm not too sure. I think they are public servants. When you go and read the Constitution, I think somewhere Article 190, 190.
That's what they
are listed. Those that are classified as civil servants are listed. And so the man does not even understand that the people he works with at the railway ministry are public servants and not civil servants.
Okay, let me do.
And so he must get it right.
Let me do a few text messages with all due respect. This one says, "Good morning, please. If the Chief Justice knew he did something right, why is he worried about critics? God is waiting for him. I also want to know whether the vehicle the president traveled to the northern regions have washrooms in them." This message came without a name. This one said, "Tell Mr. Joe Jackson to pull down the neutral face, and wear a different shirt. God will expose all those who want to defend the Chief Justice." Somebody is not quite comfortable with what you said. Abdul Basit Zongo Pioneer says, "Good morning, Honorable Lawyer John Kuma. Please, let's go straight to the point." It says, "The measures put in place by government to fight and save Ghanaians from COVID-19 is the best." This text message says, "Hi, host. I think the CJ is showing the whole world he's threading on a planned agenda. EKK from Volta region sent this text message." This one says, "Please, I have..."
Be careful.
Okay. This one is talking about talent. We'll talk to you later. "Good morning, Uncle Eric, and greetings to your panel. I wish the wise men in this country should speak about Dr. Ayene's case, because it looks as if the President and Akufo-Addo's government, they are hunting the NDC lawyers too much." We'll leave it there. This one says, "Good morning. I lived with a grandfather who was a judge, and he told us since the CJ appointed that is going to do the bidding of the MPP. Well, this is a wild allegation. Moses Study, I don't have to read all. Let's be fair with our comment. Yes, that uncle of yours, because he didn't mention his name, I don't think it's fair for me to say that that uncle of yours, who's a judge, says the CJ will be doing NPP's bidding. I think it's unfair for me to run with it. Hello, I'm Sister Kos, an artist from Tamale, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'll read 2 more text messages, guests. Good morning, Eric. I am Reverend Daniel from Sierra Leone. Please tell me, Joe, to speak the truth and not beyond hypocritism. Let him know that the Chief Justice has targeted the NDC lawyers. And so that's another school of thought. Last text message. I have 4 more, but let me do 1 more and then give the last time to... This one is a video which was sent. Mukaila Jonas Adia inside Kerry says, Ghana is indeed a poor country. God has endowed us with numerous natural resources. It goes on and it says, ministers can be reckless, unconcerned, accept double salaries, brand single buses, blah, blah, $13,000 and so on. So you are criticizing the former regime. Last one. Good morning, Mr. Host. I think the MPP government and President Nana Akufo-Addo don't deserve to rule this country again. So I'll stop there. It's almost time. 1 minute. Wrap up. Time no I'm
not saying we. I want to wrap up by talking about this Peter Amewu issue and say it's very unfortunate. I think that some level of even maybe an apology to the civil servants and even CLOSAC may be in order, because I think that what he said was unfortunate.
Okay. 1 minute.
Just on the issue of the CLOSAC again, you know, even in about a month ago or so, CLOSAC have had cause to complain about how this regime is appointing political appointees to sit on top of very experienced civil servants. They have complained about that publicly. So Peter Amewu is even walking the line of contradiction that your government is bringing people from outside the civil service to sit on top of very experienced civil servants, and today you are even calling for their total dismissal from
so that was Mohammed Aziz, former MP for Myong. Joe Jackson is Director of Operations. Dalex, I also have a different opinion. The civil servants have become like a military institution. Obey before complain, or be silent because they want to live in Accra or live in the bigger cities where they interface directly with government appointees. And so they are afraid of protecting you and I, our peers. And therefore, I also think that there must be a system to whip them to line to ensure that they become productive and efficient. So we are all disagreeing and agreeing along the line. I know they will chew me, I don't care. But the civil servants know that they are not helping Ghana.
The politicians are worse.
They are not helping Ghana. And civil servants, if you look at the Public Accounts Committee reports over the years, and you know the involvement of yourselves in it, because you are silent, you don't want to be transferred, you are afraid, and you are not talking, and today they say, Saki, you are crying. Let's leave it there. We'll continue this conversation another time. Thanks to all the production team members, Ways of TV, TVXYZ, and thanks to you, my guests. Thank you very much. Bye-bye for now.